So welcome back, my dear students. Welcome back, everyone. Another video, this is the fifth lecture in production management. And here we will talk, like I just want to remind you with what we talked about before in the previous lecture. In the previous lecture, we handled the types of production, like you know. We handled types of production in the previous lecture. Types of production systems, that's what we had. We had the shop or job shop, batch production. We had the mass production system and continuous production system and every aspect of them. Here we go, job shop, batch system, mass, and continuous. Those are the four types of production. In this video, we'll talk about the objectives of production management. The objectives of production management. The objectives of the production management is to produce goods and services of right quality and quantity at the right time and right manufacturing costs. So these are the objectives or the main task of the production department is to produce goods and services of right quality and quantity at the right time and the right manufacturing cost. So here, again, you produce the product or the services on the right with the right quality and quantity and on the right time and the lowest cost, the lowest manufacturing cost. Okay, like you see here, this is the system. This is the system, and like you see in this slide, here we go. In this slide, you have here the system of production. Like we talked about it before, but I repeat it back. Here are the inputs. What are the inputs? Men, material, machines, information, capital. Those are the inputs. Then there will be a transformation process. Production design, process planning, production control, and maintenance. All these departments, they are sub-departments inside the production department. All these departments are working under the umbrella of the production department. They are doing what? They are doing the transformation process. What is the transformation process? Changing the inputs into outputs. So the outputs will be products or services, like you see here. Usually when we talk about the products and services. We don't talk about the products alone, and we don't talk about the services alone, because the system of production, any kind of production, will switch into final outputs that will be products and or services. And I said before the difference between the products and services. Products are tangible, while services are intangible. Products, you can store them, but services, you cannot store them. Products is not related to the provider, to the product provider or seller, not related. If you want to buy anything, any stuff, you go, you don't care about the seller. He's silly, he's funny. You don't care about him. But in the services, no, you care about the service provider. So if you go to a doctor as example, before you go, you ask about this doctor, how he is he very famous? Do the people love him? Is he skillful at his job? So services is related to the service provider, but product is not related to the service provider. Then we had a control system here in this part. In this part, we had, like you see here, you can see the prompt. The control system consists of inventory and quality and cost, those three parts. Okay, what's the importance of the control system? To check out, are we on the right path or no? Are we doing well or no? The criteria and the plan is done on 100% right or not? So we care about the outputs, changing the inputs into the outputs, and we monitor the outputs, they are related, exactly corresponding to what we planned before, or there is a deviation. Because if there is a deviation means non-correct, then we will take correction steps or process. So the control is to monitor the outputs, check out the outputs, or they are according to what we plan, or there's differences, or there's gaps or deviation between the outputs and what was planned in the inputs. So if there is any problem, we can correct it back. So if I, as example, if I have here a broken units are not exactly as we planned or specify, then we can return it back into the transformation process. We move forward now to the productivity, and this is the first topic we'll talk about today. And productivity is a measure of how much input is produced to give outputs. Productivity is the ratio between the outputs and the inputs, or in dollars, like I said before. To understand the productivity is the ratio of the outputs divided by the inputs. Okay. The productivity is a measure, very important measure for performance, because we compare between the companies based on the productivity. And we have the videos about the productivity. I will present the mathematical part right away in a separated video for the productivity, but I want you to know that the productivity equals the total outputs in dollar divided by the total inputs in dollar. The productivity, we have many types of productivity, like the labor ratio. We have scarcity, workforce changes, innovative and technology. So those are all measuring or things that affect the productivity. So if the capital is small, the productivity will be small. If the resources are not very well or few, then productivity will be low. If the workforce is not qualified, they are not very qualified, then productivity will be low, because we said total outputs divided by the total inputs. If no innovation and we are using all technology, then the productivity will be low. If the regulatory effects, the impose substantial constraints on the firm, if these constraints are more and more every day, more and more bylaws, more and more constraints, that will affect the productivity and it will be lower. The bargaining power of the labor, because when you increase the wages, if we increase the wages, that will be because the wages are the inputs. Because if you see here, the labor cost is inputs. So if you increase these labor cost, logically, the whole productivity will go down, will be reduced. So here are some examples. Managerial factors also, bargaining power. The bargaining power go to the workers when they bargain for higher income. So if the cost of the production, because the labor's cost increase the inputs, so the productivity will be lower. Managerial factors like benefits from unique planning and managerial skills. The more we have a skillful management, the better the productivity will be. Quality of work life, it is a term that describes organizational culture and extent to which it motivates and satisfies its employees. So the productivity will be the profits divided by the investment, the inputs here, or the outputs divided to. We have also partial indicator for the productivity. All of them, the outputs on the nomination, and the denomination is what you want. So if you are talking about energy productivity, the energy will be down in the denomination. If you are talking about the total productivity, will be the total outputs divided by the total inputs. So here as example, the total productivity is the outputs divided by the labor plus the capital plus the other inputs, all the inputs. The inputs are the cost of production. The inputs are the cost of production. Like here as example now, a health check clinic has 5 employees and process 200 patients per week. Each employee works 35 hours per week. So we'll calculate all the costs of the whole employees. The clinic's total wages bill is 3,900, like we'll see here now, the 3,900. And its total overhead expenses are 2,000. So the total overhead expenses are 2,000. So here we want to calculate the labor productivity and the multi-factors productivity, 2 types of productivity we want to calculate here. The labor productivity and the multi-factor productivity. Okay, for calculating the labor productivity, we have we have already 200 patients divided by the 5 employees means we have 40 patients per 1 employee. Labor productivity will be the 200 divided by 5 times 35. What is the 5 here? We have 5 employees and each one of them work 35 hours per week. So that will give me 1.143 for patient per labor hour. The multi, what is the multi? All the costs. So we have here now for the productivity, the total outputs is 200 patients. We have 200 patients. This is the total outputs divided by the total inputs. The total inputs here, we have 3,900, which is the cost of the bill of the wages, 3,900 plus 2,000. These are the overhead costs. These are the overhead expenses. So all the costs here, the multi-factor productivity will equal 200 divided by this number. That will be for each patient in euro or in dollar or in sterling. Each patient will cost me about 0.033 euro for 1 patient. Okay. We'll move now to the techniques to improve the productivity. Techniques to improve the productivity. Better planning and training employees, effective management, use of time and motion studies to reduce the waste, better transportation system and better handling system, work involvement in decision-making. If all the people are participating in decision-making, then expect that there will be a high productivity, improvement in technology, simplification, standardization, and specialization techniques. So all these will make increase our productivity. Also, we can say in a broad meaning, what are the factors affecting the productivity? They are factors affecting productivity. They are technological factors, managerial factors, labors, and external factors. External factors like by law, the environmental, the political, religious environment, these all affect the productivity. That was some of the productivity meanings to understand. And I will stop here right now and put some questions regarding today's lecture. And I will tell you here. This is question number 8. Define productivity. And discuss different types of productivity. and discuss different types of productivity. This is the first question for today. I'll take only 2 lines here. It's fine. Now I'll put them here down. So here is the first question for today, my dears. And I will give you the citing. The second question of today is how to improve. What are the factors affecting the productivity? What are the factors that affect the productivity? What are the factors that affect the productivity? And this is the second question for us today. In this point, I want you to put also here this question. Like we said, what are the factors affecting the productivity? So in both the videos here today, in this video today, we had 2 questions, question 8 and question 9. Question 9, what are the factors that affect the productivity? And there are a lot of factors like technological, managerial, labor, and external factors. Those affect the productivity. How can we also techniques to improve the productivity? And this will be our third question today. What are the proofs or discuss ways, then discuss techniques. Let's take this word and put this here up here. Discuss techniques. Question techniques to improve productivity. Here we go. Discuss techniques to improve productivity. Here is our next question. So that's it. We have these 3 questions today. Defining the productivity, factors will affect the productivity, and techniques to improve the productivity. Shall we wait here, freeze the screen for about 5 minutes to get your answers for the 3 questions before we move to the next part of this lecture. Thank you so much. Again, my dears, before we leave this lecture, to end this lecture, define productivity, the factors that affect the productivity, and the techniques we will use to improve the productivity. Shall see you in next lecture. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Bye bye, everyone.